Focus group interviewing. Let's watch this video clip and do the activity. How focus groups can help your research. So, what is a focus group? Why would I use a focus group? And how can I implement focus groups? A focus group is, by definition, a focused discussion between 6 to 8 people on a set of questions that you might have in order to get a more in-depth understanding of a research question. You would not use a focus group with more than 8 people because it becomes unwieldy, and you want to make sure that your questions are very well thought out before you show up. Because 6 to 8 people are selected on the basis of their relative understanding or positionality with regards to your research question, and those discussions can be very informative. And in order to allow everybody to participate, they can become chaotic and very long if you have too many people and not focused questions. So, why would I use a focus group as opposed to an in-depth interview? In many ways, they do the same thing. You have an interview protocol. You have a set of questions and you're gonna ask people these sets of questions. This can be true, except that focus groups are a terrible idea if you are going to be asking people questions that they are going to be uncomfortable speaking about in front of other people. A research on a controversial issue, for instance, is going to make people angry, incensed, combative to be in a room with one another. So people think, oh, I will do research on marriage issues and I will have couples in the room at the same time. Often, what you would see with that is certain members of the couple will shut down entirely other members. Focus groups can be extremely efficient way of collecting qualitative, subjective information, and it could be a disaster if it's not appropriate to the focus of your research. Another thing to think about with focus group research versus in-depth interviews is that focus groups are rarely used for exploratory work. Focus groups tend to be much more effective when they are explanatory. So, you have a robust theoretical framework to work from. You have an idea of what's going on, and you want people to either give you a little bit more information about that idea, or you want them to really focus on certain theories to explain them more thoroughly to you. Focus groups are really useful when they are used in conjunction with other methods. It can help you if you have done statistical analysis on a question, but there's some unexplained variance, and it gives you a very good idea of what's going on. You have done your statistical analysis, and there's a lot of unexplained variance, and you think, what's happening here? It explains a little bit, but it's not significant, or there's just a lot of unexplained variance in the model. Then you can have a focus group discussion with people to have them try to explain to you what's really going on. This can be very helpful in terms of triangulating your information in your research. Focus groups are also really good at the end of your research when you do focus groups with experts in the field. For instance, you want to be able to do statistical analysis, in-depth interviews with people who have an experience with a set of questions that you have. Then, at the end, you want to go back and do focus groups or interviews with experts to sort of find out what's their views of or what's their understanding of what you have learned. It's another way of checking and triangulating your understanding of your research. It's particularly important before you do a focus group to prepare a lot and plan ahead in the same way that a key informant interview requires. It takes planning to make sure that you don't have one person who monopolizes the conversation, that you are comfortable enough with the material and the questions that you can facilitate a discussion and follow where people go. Allow the conversation to evolve such that everybody's participating conversation in an astute, non-terribly invasive way. Focus groups are particularly dangerous when you are a very shy person. Don't do focus groups if you don't feel comfortable being in a group and commanding a group. You won't get very good data. People might monopolize the conversation and take in a direction you are not comfortable going or becomes useless to you. And it would be better for you to do an in-depth interview. It's good to plan ahead, thinking about how will you record the information. Focus groups are best done if you can conduct them as a pair or even with a third person. The easiest way to collect information during a focus group is to videotape it, because then you know who is speaking when a focus group becomes really difficult to transcribe when you are not sure who's speaking. A video camera can really help in the post-discussion time that you need to transcribe your information. At the same time, a video camera can make people really nervous, so you do want to balance that with, and you would have to get their permission. You want to make sure you get permission from people for you to video or audio record them either way. You also need to practice taking notes while multiple people are speaking, and that's why having another person or two people taking notes is very useful. It is rarely sufficient to do one focus group to answer a research question if that is your only method of inquiry. If focus groups are the only or the main tool by which you are going to collect information for your research, then typically you would be doing at least 4 to ensure that people feel comfortable speaking and that you get enough diversity within those 6 to 8 people. The perfect focus group is a group where people feel comfortable enough to speak. They have sufficiently similar experiences that when one person speaks, it prompts another person to speak in a way that doesn't become combative or conflictual. So, otherwise, if everybody is the same and within those 6 to 8 people, then you might as well do one interview. That's much easier to plan for. Let's practice listening and learn more about the focus group. Watch this video clip and make a conclusion of what you have learned more about the focus group in English by recording as an audio clip uploaded to your Google Drive and share a public link to Thai MOOC.